One of the things I see people misusing the most in web development is animations. And this is an amazing article on just that and how to use animations in sort of a purposeful way. So I want to go through it and talk about how exactly we should and shouldn't be using animations. When done right, animations make an interface feel predictable, faster, and more enjoyable to use. They help you and your product stand out, but they can also do the opposite. They can make an interface feel unpredictable, slow, and annoying. They can even make your users lose trust in your product. So how do you know when and how to animate to improve the experience? Step one is making sure that your animations actually have a purpose. So purposeful animations. Before you start animating, ask yourself, what's the purpose of this animation? As an example, what is the purpose of this marketing animation we built at Linear? So the guy writing this article works at Linear, and we can actually see this entire animation here. So this is sort of the animation on the home screen of Linear. You can see it sort of shows the application in action. And when we think about the purpose of this animation as sort of a marketing landing page, it's very different than the purpose of some animation that might exist in something like a dashboard. And I think oftentimes the purpose of these animations at the top of landing pages is essentially twofold. One is to show what the product actually does. So this is a very quick snapshot of what this product actually looks like and what the interactions might look like. And then second is just to show some legitimacy. When you have something that looks nice and professional and sleek, it's just a way to show, hey, this is a legitimate business. We've spent some time and money on this application, and it just sort of shows through that landing page. And if you look at what he says here, it says the animation explains how product intelligence Linear's feature works. We could have used a static asset, but the animated version helps the user understand what the feature does straight in the initial viewport of the page. So their purpose here is that they want the user, when they immediately come to this page, having never used this product before, this feature before, to immediately know what exactly that product actually does and what it's going to look like. But of course, animations can be much simpler than this. So here's an example of a purposeful animation, and this is a subtle scale down effect when pressing a button. So we have two different buttons here, and if I click on the one on the left, you'll see nothing really happens. I'm clicking the button, but y'all probably don't even know if I clicked it because there's nothing visual here to see me clicking it. Versus the one on the right, you can see when I click it, the button sort of scales down a little bit to show that it's being like pressed in by my mouse. And animations like this are super subtle, but these are the types of things that make a website feel responsive. When you use a button like the one on the left, you sit there wondering like, did it work? It didn't do anything when I clicked it, versus the one on the right instantly shows you, hey, I'm the button and I understand that you clicked on me. It gives you that instant feedback that just makes things feel much more responsive and feel, as they put it, more alive. Another interesting case for animations is going to be toasts. So you can see the toasts are here and they sort of animate up as they go. And there's a few purposes to this. So one is just that it sort of feels awkward if it just appears on the screen, and having it animate in feels a little bit better. But also what they say here is super interesting. So it animates up. And there is a gesture that you can use by swiping down to sort of dismiss the toast. And by animating up, it makes it intuitive that swiping down on it is going to get rid of it. It's going to dismiss it. So essentially, if you have some gesture that you want the user to intuitively know is a way to get rid of something, then have that thing appear with the opposite effect happening. That way it's intuitive that, hey, this thing came from the bottom. If you want it to go away, you swipe down to push it back where it came from. And this can apply to a lot of different things in your application, but I do think toasts are a good example of this sort of principle of animating. Now, this is a super interesting example where the purpose of an animation might just be to bring delight. It makes it feel a little bit better. So here's a feedback button. When I click on it, you can see it sort of morphs into this feedback form, and then we could send some feedback. And eventually this form is going to close and sort of morph back into that button. That said, it's super important when you do things like this to really consider what is the actual use case here. Because the only purpose of this animation is just that it feels kind of nice, right? So we need to make sure that it's not getting in the way of anything else in the user experience. So in this case, it's a feedback button. And when we think about a feedback button, it's something that the user is probably not going to press very often. This is something they do infrequently just when they have some feedback. So because of that, we can treat this button very differently than we might treat something like in an analytics dashboard where a user might spend their whole day in that dashboard. Because imagine if you had some button like this that you had to press 100 times throughout your workday. Eventually, seeing this animation over and over again would just get frustrating, it'd get irritating, and it would feel like it's just sort of wasting your time. It would simply be an irritant, it would be annoying, and it would serve no more purpose. On the other hand, when it's a button like a feedback button that you're not pressing very often, it just feels nice. It feels delightful. It feels like it makes everything very smooth, and it feels like a good user experience. So all this to say that a good user experience in one place might not be a good user experience in another place, simply based on how you expect your users to actually be using that part of your interface. And I think as just a general rule, the more often you expect the users to be using something, the less it should be animated, because those animations are going to get more and more annoying over time as you use that interface more. And he talks about this in the article here. So I use Raycast hundreds of times a day. If it animated every time I opened it, it would be very annoying, but there's no animation at all. And that is the optimal experience. You can sort of see this here. So it says if I press J, you can see sort of animation in and out, versus if I press K, you can see it just appears in and out. And while J might visually look nicer, and as a developer, I'm like, oh, I want to do J because J feels so nice, K is the better experience if this is something that people are pressing hundreds of times a day, because you're just wasting like a second of their time every time it does this animation. It's going to get frustrating, and it's going to feel like the website or the application just isn't very responsive, versus when you press it and it instantly appears, it feels responsive, and it feels like this is the optimal way to actually use the application. And you can see it says here, when I open Raycast, I have a clear goal in mind. I don't expect to be delighted. I don't need to be. I just want to do my work with no unnecessary friction, and animations can be that added friction. So you want to think about what your user wants to achieve and how often they are going to see that animation. For example, these hover effects are nice, but if used multiple times a day, it would likely benefit the most from having no animation at all. So here we can see on the right, there's a hover effect in the sense of you can see which one my mouse is hovered on, but on the left, the hover effect sort of slowly animates in. And this is just worse in, I think, basically every way. So it kind of looks aesthetically nice when you first use it, but when you use it a little bit more, you'll see it's kind of just unresponsive. It's delayed in how it's following my mouse because of these animations. Whereas on the right, it feels way more responsive. It feels like this is actually following the mouse pointer, and it just feels a lot better. It feels like a much better experience, even though it might not look quite as sort of delightful and pretty. And one thing you can do if you want to get super fancy with this is have an animation the first time that your mouse goes over it, but then when you start moving your mouse from one to the other, at that point, disable the animations. It's a little bit trickier to do that with CSS and JavaScript, but it is doable, and I think it is a pretty good approach to take to be at sort of a happy medium. But again, oftentimes the best answer is just no animations at all. There's also something pretty interesting about how we actually do animations and how they make our users perceive the speed of our application, even if it's not actually changing the speed of anything. So for example, here we have two loading spinners. The one on the right is moving pretty quickly. The one on the left moves pretty slowly. And it feels, when I look at this, like the one on the right is loading faster. It feels like that's going to load the thing quicker, and that this website is more responsive. It's a faster website. It's a better developed website. But in reality, they're the same, right? They are both just a placeholder that sits there while the website loads. Neither one of these is actually an indicator of how fast something is loading. They're simply an indicator that something is currently being loaded. But using very simple things like this, making our loading spinners a little bit quicker, we can indicate to the user that our website has better performance, and it essentially just improves this perceived performance, as he puts it here. And we also want to make sure that all of our animations aren't just too slow, because when an animation is slow, it feels like a website is just being unresponsive. So for example, we have an 180 millisecond animation versus a 400 millisecond one. So here is the slightly slower one versus the faster one. And the faster one, well, it's not that big of a difference. It feels better. It feels more responsive, whereas this one just feels like the website's a little bit clunky. It feels like it's not moving as fast as it should, and this one feels much better. You get the sort of nice, delightful animation without feeling like you are waiting for the animation. So they say here's a rule of thumb, UI animations should generally stay under 300 milliseconds, and I think that's a pretty good rule, but especially when you get to the 500 milliseconds or even a full second animation, that's where I think they tend to be just annoying and they make the website feel unresponsive. So that's where I would definitely not be, but I think a good rule of thumb is to have these very short animations where you almost can't even tell that there was an animation. And here's a really cool example of tooltips that's pretty similar to what we talked about earlier. So here on the left, you can see when I hover, we get bold, and then when I hover over this, we get italics, but each one I have to hover for a little bit, which is the expected behavior on sort of the first one, because you don't want the tooltips to just be constantly appearing. But once I'm sort of hovering, it's annoying if I have to wait for every single one if I want to figure out what they are. So on the right, you can see initially there's that delay, right? It takes a little bit of time before the tooltip is initiated, but then when I just move between them, there is no delay anymore. So we have that delay for the first one when we enter the sort of animating zone, and then we are going to have no delay for whenever we switch from one to the other. And this principle is great for tooltips, but I think it just works for a lot of things. To have some enter and exit animation or delay potentially even at times for things like tooltips, when you enter some animating zone, as we'll call it. But then when we go from one thing to the other, we don't want there to be just constant delays, because then it starts to feel like the website is actually just being unresponsive, and that's a bad user experience. So building great interfaces. The goal is not to animate for animation's sake. It's to build great user interfaces, the ones that users will happily use even on a daily basis. Sometimes this requires animations, but sometimes the best animation is no animation. Knowing when to animate is just one of many things that you need to know in order to craft great animations. If you'd like to dive deeper into the theory and practice of it, I've created a course that covers everything you need to know. So this is linked down in the description. I'm not affiliated with this at all. I haven't looked at the course, but it's down there if you want to check it out. Now, with modern software development, a lot of animations that we see on the web are just being generated by AI. But at the same time, a lot of developers just don't trust AI at all. So if you're curious as to why developers aren't trusting AI in their work, you should watch this video next.